on. One quick bong hit, it's not going to be no problem. Just one time, I love you. That one time could turn into a pregnancy. That could then turn into an abortion that you have to pay for the rest of your life with. That we've experienced personally, Denise and I. Do you want to deal with that? Satan will rob you. See, Satan is the liar in John 8:44. You guys want to jot it down? John 8:44 says this: you are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is the liar and the father of it. I saw this practically the other night. We wanted to take a family date on New Year's Eve, and so we made reservations, and we probably did them too late, but we went out into this place with the boys, and I was saddened. There was a man that was probably 50, 55, out with probably his girlfriend and a couple other people. And we got to sit. It was one of those tables where it's kind of like a community table. There's like 8 people, you all sit together. And we sat there, and this poor guy was yelling and cursing and completely out of control. Wasted. And I started thinking of where along the lines did he bite this lie where it's, you'll not surely die, you can have a drink, it's okay. And this poor man is in bondage on his way to hell and taking all kinds of people with him. You'll not surely die. Just a little HGH, one cycle of steroids, man, it's not going to do anything. Tell that to Lyle Zato. Listen, guys, this is death, life and death right now we're talking about. Here's the other lie. Verse 5 says, here's how he lies. God knows that in the day of it, you eat of it, your eyes are going to be open. In other words, man, God's holding out on you. He's trying to hold you down. He's trying to throw salt in your game. But can I tell you, there's freedom and safety in God's parameters. It's like when we're playing outside with the boys and we say, hey man, you can go anywhere you want, but just don't go up in the street, please. I don't want to see the F-150 come and put it on the side of your temple and you be done. So you can go all you want in the front yard. We'll play some kill the man, we'll play some snow football, but just don't go over there. And my boys go, you're just trying to put restrictions on me. No, actually, I'm trying to keep you alive because I love you very much and I want the best for you. But if we listen to Satan as we do, and he says, all those restrictions, you become a Christian, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you can't. Listen, God created you, he loves you, he wants the best for you, hence the reason for those parameters. He knew the minute they ate of that tree of knowledge of good and evil, eyes would be open, they would know evil. Evil would come into the world. Verse 6 says the tree was good for food, it was pleasant to the eyes, and it was a tree desirable to make one wise. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. For you note takers, 1 John 2:16, the Apostle John writes it down right there, 1 John 2:16. He says it right there. He says, man, all that's in the world, those lies, it's the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. It's not of the Father, but it's of the world. How many times in your life and my life do we fall prey to that? Man, it's looking good physically. I know that's going to taste good. And you know what? I'm going to be a little bit cooler if I do. Man, Satan hasn't changed his game at all. He just had different bait for different people. Oh, I know I can get that dude. I know I can get that lady right there. Oh, it's pretty easy. Let me just bait him up. And throw out the fishing line, right? The results of this are dangerous. The capacity to choose has unfortunately opened up mankind to wreak havoc upon themselves and others. Yes, we, like Eve, have bought the lie of the enemy. We've rejected God. And then we've tried to deal with our guilt and our shame by ourselves. Much like Adam and Eve did. Here's what we try to do, folks. We try to either run from it and hide, or we try to blame others. That hasn't changed either. Look at verse 8. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife, underline this, hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Can you imagine? Oh, I'm going to hide from God. Yeah, we do. Verse 9, then the Lord God called to Adam and said to him, where are you? Now, was that a mom with her hands on her hips saying, where are you? Or was that a loving dad going with a broken heart, hey, where are you? Verse 10, so he said, I heard your voice in the garden, man, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Pause there. Well, we're good at this, huh? Instead of just admitting our sin and our rebellion, calling a spade, and turning from it and repenting, we try to run away from the Lord, thinking that somehow we're going to outrun God. Listen, I just suggest to you guys, who knows, some of you guys in here have not repented and come to Christ. Can I just tell you, save yourself a lot of heartache right now. Just give up, man. He's the hound from heaven. He's going to sniff you out to the day you step into a tree. He's going to do all he can because he wants a relationship with you. He's going to... And it gets hard, stiff-arming God, man. It gets tiring. How about King David? Remember when King David blew it with Bathsheba? Saw her taking a bath, hooked it up. You guys know the story. Has a relationship with her. Gets her pregnant. Calls her husband, Uriah the Hittite, from the front lines in the war that he should have been at because King should have been there. But he's kicking it. And what happens? Says, man, I'm going to cover up my sin and bring Uriah up back into the crib, get him nice and drunk, have him go home, sleep with his wife. Cool, we're good. We'll just act like it's Uriah's kid. And Uriah, the man that's loyal and faithful, says, no way, dude. I'm not going back to my wife. All my homeboys are on the front lines fighting. You can give me all the alcohol you want. I'm going to sleep on your front step there. And in the morning, I'm going to head back to the battle. So King David says, man, boy, you foiled my whole cover-up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually write a letter saying, man, I'm going to send him to the front line so he can get killed. We'll just take care of it that way. And sure enough, Uriah carries orders for his own death in his hands. Gives it to his commander. His commander puts him on the front line, commands the rest of the army to retreat, and he's killed. How about that for hiding, cover up? A little bit later, Nathan the prophet comes to him and shares with him an illustration to show David his sin. And David finally repents. He comes to the true conversion. He comes and he says, man, you're right. I've done this. And in Psalm 51, if you guys ever want to read it, and I suggest to you that have run from God for years, and you think you've done something so bad that God will never forgive you, go to Psalm 51 and see what David writes out. You see, David just committed sexual immorality and murder, and when he finally comes to Jesus, when he comes to God and repents, he's forgiven. And it says in there that there's just this cleansing that happens in his heart, and he's accepted by God.